Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. The Indian crew of a sanctioned oil tanker urged the authorities to please help after the ship was hit by a US missile off Oman. And this incident happened on Monday, claimed it was a fire and speaking in a distress call shared with a few people. Now, US Central Command, that is the Centcom, said that the ship Marivex had violated its blockade of Iranian ports and a precision munition was fired into the ship after the crew failed to comply with US instructions. Now, all 24 crew were rescued by the Omani military. That's what the Indian authorities have said. Marivex is the seventh ship which was disabled by the US for violating the blockade. This is what the CENTCOM said. Now, US military has been blockading Iran's ports after Tehran effectively closed the busy Strait of Hormuz, through which some 20% of the world's oil and gas supplies are transported. Now, MEA has reacted to it. Those 24 crew members have been saved by the Oman authorities. But I would like to play for you the reaction coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs. Randir Jaiswal has briefed the media on this. Let's play out that bite. Yes.
Marivex was disabled off the coast of Oman. We have learned that it is a Palau flagged vessel. We also understand there was some exchange of communication between the ship and the US Navy before the incident. There were 24 crew members on board the ship, all of them being Indian nationals. They all 24 have been rescued and they are safe. Our embassy, for this purpose, for the evacuation and rescue purpose, they contacted the Omani authorities who swung into action. We were in touch with several other stakeholders, including Ministry of Shipping here and MRCC and other stakeholders. We thank and we are grateful to the Omani government for their excellent support in rescuing the crew and ensuring the safety. Our mission continues to be in touch with the seafarers.
Right. So MEA over there has thanked the Oman authorities for helping tide over this crisis, which is obvious. But MEA hasn't said anything to America. What is the reason? Should they have said it? That's a point of contention. Joining me this evening is Sanjay Kapoor, international affairs expert and a veteran journalist. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining on the Federal. My first question to you is: what would you say to this incident, which has taken off the coast of Oman, and the kind of reaction which has come in from MEA? Do you think that that's an appropriate reply? Now, these pictures on the screen, let me just play it out for the viewers. These are the pictures of that incident which has happened. The engine room was completely burnt. That's what we are told. And the 24 crew members on board, they have been rescued. Uh, None of them have lost their life, but these are the pictures of the coast of Oman. And this oil tanker was heading towards Iran, and which is what the American authorities said, that they were violating the US sanctions, and which is why they had to fire. Now, Sanjay, what is your reaction to this incident?
If you ask me, it's a bit complicated. It's not something so simple that it was, a ship which had Indian sailors and it was bound by the Americans. The fact of the matter is that for past seven occasions, U.S. Authorities sent the Central Command had targeted this ship and told them to lay off from here. But this is a company. This belongs to a company called Arihant, based out of western coast near Mundra. It's basically a Gujarati company and has been doing, trying to bring oil from Iran through roundabout manner, and that is what is giving us some kind of strategic autonomy by doing this. Something that is disliked by the Americans, and that is the reason why, if you look at it, our foreign ministry spokesperson, Mr. Randir Jaiswal, he did not utter a word of United States of America. He kept quiet and he did not say a word that the bombing had been done by the Americans. So this is surely shows that there is a sense of guilt in the way the Indian government has been behaving. in fact, for the first time, when this ship was cautioned by the Americans, the Indian government should have intervened and told them in so many words that this is our ship and please clear off. But they chose not to do it, and the fact it was bombed by the Americans did not come to our rescue. Obviously, it was expected. So the help came from Oman. So 13,550-kilometer distance, the so-called rescue mission completed to bring the Indian soldiers, sailors back into India. Not nobody was hurt, mercifully. But the truth is that there was a lot of clandestine activities were taking place in Strait of Hormuz, and India has to make up its mind which way we are swimming, whose side are we swimming, and what we are trying to really do. It's a very complicated story, but the fact of the matter is that you have an Indian company, Arihant, which was sailing a ship under Palau flag, and that is where it is the problem. They could
No,
not
but what do you
rescue
think
the.
is the Sanjay? What do you think is the intention of America? Do they want India not to have any sort of link with Iran at all? Now, this very ship was heading towards Iran, and they are saying that the oil tanker violated the U.S. Sanctions, and which is why they were forced to attack. So, does it mean that America is sending out a message that look, if you don't obey the U.S. sanctions, this is what is going to be done to your oil tankers? Is that the message?
No, this is very clear that they don't want Indian ships to dabble with that of Iran or go to Iranian shores or use the Strait of Hormuz without the permission. And they're banking on India to somehow stick to the so called sanctions that have been imposed by them on Iran and also on the Russian oil. I don't know how India will survive that way because India needs Russian oil, and it also needs the oil from the Strait of Hormuz, from where 20% of oil from all of the world has been coming and going. So it's a very complicated story. India has been making merry through all these small companies which have sprung up on the western shore of India, and they are the ones who have been going up and down. So let's see what India has in mind because they keep quiet. They don't utter a word. There's a deniability through which they operate. These companies, these individuals, and although there are 24 sailors in that ship, and they were the ones who were screaming, but the only agency that came to the rescue were the Omanis, not the Americans, not anybody else, and they were
Yes.
the ones who pulled us out from the mess that we found ourselves in.
Right, but I'll come to Seema now. Seema, senior journalist and international affairs expert, also joins us. And also joining us is Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. And let me go to Professor Pasha, and then I'll come to Seema. That Professor Pasha, this incident which has happened off the coast of Oman, where the oil tanker was attacked by the American missile. What do you think is the message sent out by America and the reaction which is given by MEA? They have thanked Oman, but shouldn't they have commented on America as well? Given the fact that it was our people, it was the 24-member crew I mean, they were Indians who were risking their lives and they were making a distress call.
Thank you for having me. Yes, you see, sometime back, about 4 weeks ago, there was skirmishes between the United States and Iran near the Strait of Hormuz, near the port of Fujairah, and few Indians were injured in that missile exchanges between Iran and the United States, and India was very critical of this attack on Indians. But this time, the Americans have disabled by launching a missile from their Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier F-18 Hornet plane. But the MEA or the foreign minister or any other leader has made no comment, except thanking Oman, which, as you said, rescued them. Although in the vicinity there are about 4 frigates of the Indian Navy, but they don't seem to have reached out to the this sailors who told them that it is sinking because of the missile attack and the steering engine, etc. So this goes to show that how uh, helpless we have become in the face of U.S. Attacks, and it goes to show that this strategic friendship is becoming a liability, not only in terms of American support to Pakistan and tariffs and shackled Indians sent issue of immigration status violation, and a whole host of issues, not to speak of the Sindoor ceasefire claim, which Trump makes day in and day out. This government seems to be completely subservient, acting like a vassal, like a client state of the United States, and not even attacking or criticizing what Israel does daily on the uh, Lebanese and Gaza front. So this is not a surprise what America has done, because this ship was not uh, in any of the Iranian ports which the Americans have blockaded. You see, this was in the international waters, Gulf of Oman, and there was, I don't think there was proof that it was going to the Iranian port, which is under US blockade, or going to load, or it was loaded. It was empty ship, and I think this is really uncalled for. And any self-respecting government would have
So,
summoned the
Pasha, do you think that
American ambassador.
no, but do you think MEA should have reacted on this kind of an attack by an American missile? The statement which came from MEA, should they have said something about America as well? Should they have reacted differently than what they did?
Yes, of course, any self-respecting nation would pointedly say this is unacceptable. This attack on Indian citizens is unacceptable, and America should have been named and blamed and condemned in this kind of attack. Although the ship didn't carry Indian flag, but the attack on Indian citizen is an attack on our sovereignty. And so the Indian government has every right to protect, safeguard, and take care of its citizens. Many of them are still stranded in the Gulf on different ships. If any harm is done, it is the Indian passport holder who is attacked. So it is the duty of not just the spokesperson, but the foreign minister also to call up the American ambassador and give him a dressing down as to why this blatant attack has been made on Indian citizens when they knew, when they were in communication with the neighboring ships and with the Central Command also, and for no violation. What is the evidence the Americans have provided that this ship or the sailors committed any violation of the international law? There is nothing to prove. There's only suspicion that so and so in the past did so and so, for which there is no proof provided by the Americans. So how can we believe what it did previously when there was no war before 28th February? There was a different situation. Iran or whichever country was using this ship was within its right to transport, because many countries don't accept the American sanctions or the European sanctions. Even India at one stage was saying loudly that we follow only the UN sanctions. But later on, under American pressure and European pressure, we accepted the American sanctions, and we have withdrawn from Chabahar and not buying oil and gas from Iran or from Russia. And so many things are done just to please the United States and Israel. This government is completely beholden to these two powers, and it is undermining our own national interest, and we have become a laughing stock in international scene, where our strategic autonomy has no meaning because we follow the diktat like a vassal state of the United States.
All right, now let me reach out to Seema Guha. Seema, I hope you can hear me. And I want you to react on this entire incident, the way it has happened. And the big question is that why at all did American missile hit an Indian oil tanker? And why did it feel the need to do so, knowing the fact that the kind of ties which India and America both have? Yes, Seema. Seema, can you hear me? I think there's some problem there. Yes, Professor Pasha. So the whole thing, and then I'll go to Sanjay. Uh, the entire episode now, begs of this question that why did America feel the need to hit an Indian oil tanker? It was a non-sanctioned tanker, and even then, just to make a point, just to prove a point, America went ahead and hit the oil tanker, India's oil tanker, risking the lives of 24 membered crew, which was there. Now, shouldn't India be asking a question on this front? At least they can call up the American ambassador who's there in Delhi. Why can't he be summoned? Why can't he be asked questions? At least some sort of a protest, some sort of a condemnation should come along. Why is that not coming? And should it be there?
That is because over the last year and the first 6 months, 4 months here, we have not issued a single statement criticizing Trump or United States or Israel. Single. Show me a single statement by the MEA or any leader condemning what Israel has done in Gaza or in Lebanon or on Iran, or what America and Israel both have done on Iran, and let alone these regional conflicts, even affecting bilateral relations. This government has been completely silent. It has not contradicted the United States on any issue. We have blindly followed whatever humiliation, whatever insult the American president and the United States and other officials. For example, this Raisana dialogue, American administration people had come, and they were saying that we will not allow India to become like China, a manufacturing hub, a developed country, and so on and so forth. And we will not repeat that mistake. Another minister said, you should not buy oil and arms from Russia. Another one said, you should open up your market for American products, including agricultural products. Another one says you must buy more oil and gas, and we will ensure your energy security. Since when they have become advisors to the Modi government, why have we allowed this kind of leverage to the American officials? The American ministers, they directly meet Modi, not the foreign minister. The American ambassador, even before presenting the credentials, he meets ministers, governors, and top leaders here without any protocol sensation. This is the kind of image this government has created, that India, they take it for granted. They don't respect. That was the problem with China and Iran, that America was not respecting China. They said we will not allow this kind of treatment.
No, but is it purely a case of lack of guts to say anything against America? Now, look at what's happening in New Delhi. And for the last 2 days, what we have seen is that Prime Minister Modi and the entire BJP, they're going gaga over the fact that Prime Minister Modi has broken Nehru's record. And he has been the only prime minister to have an uninterrupted days in power for 4,400 days. And Nehru had 4,399 days. Now, this is the cause of celebration. But we do not have the guts, it seems, to speak against America. Yes, Professor
See,
Pasha.
All these days, which Modi claims he has been prime minister, what is the contribution in the field of foreign policy? Has he safeguarded India's national interest, national image? Have we taken any initiative? BRICS chairmanship is with us. Have we taken any step, any statement? China has been able to do much more between Saudi Arabia and Iran. We have leveraged, they claim, with Israel and with America. Have we used that? Instead, America is prompting Pakistan. See, Nehru was both the foreign minister and prime minister, and he was listened to with care. What New Delhi said in 50s and 60s mattered. Even Kennedy would directly talk to Nehru. Even Lyndon, even this Eisenhower, he respected Nehru. And King Abdul Aziz in Saudi Arabia, he called him prophet of peace, which annoyed Pakistan. And even Egypt's Nasser, he respected Jawaharlal Nehru for the advice and guidance which he gave during the Suez crisis. The world leaders on Korea, on Suez, on Congo, on disarmament were looking to India's leadership, what India would say, and then they would formulate their foreign policies. And now we are in a situation, we are completely subservient to the United States and Israel. Nobody bothers. We have abdicated our responsibility as a major economic power, as a nuclear power, as a regional power. No, not even Nepal listens to us now. Not even Bangladesh listens to us. Nepal wants the border issue to be resolved by China and United Kingdom. Can you imagine the guts they have? Bangladesh openly challenges India on the northeast. Maldives, Sri Lanka, we have no standing even in the South Asian region. And our image, if you go out in seminar conferences, people laugh at India's foreign policy. No clue where we stand. So this is the kind of downward trend. It has hit rock bottom as far as this government's policy is concerned. Modi is only concerned about the awards and prizes he brings to India to show that he is the Vishwaguru, and so many islands, remote islands, which give him prize. Nobody knows the kind of prize he gets, awards which he gets. And the Ministry of External Affairs is busy arranging trips only to those countries which give him award, not to promote India's core interest. He promotes Adani and Ambani and his own image as the Vishwaguru, and there is no effort, no initiative, neither on Ukraine nor on Gulf crisis. Millions of Indians are there in the Gulf. We have not taken a single step. If things deteriorate there, we have to bring them, evacuate them in lakhs and lakhs. Have we got any arrangement? The nearest country to evacuate them is Iran. We are not on talking terms with Iran. Our foreign minister talks with Abbas Arachi, and there is no response.
Absolutely. So, Sanjay, if I may come to you for the concluding comments. So, if this is the state of things, now thank God that our crew members were saved and none of them has got injured or any mishap has or untoward incident has happened. But what if anything untoward happens or if any Indian is killed? Is the government still going to remain quiet, not express any sort of condemnation, will not take up the case with Donald Trump? Are we to assume that we are almost on the brink of ending our relationship with Iran just because America doesn't like it? What are we to assume from this particular incident which has happened?
I mean, there is great merit in what Dr. Pasha is saying, that we have become totally subservient to the Americans and the Israelis. But having said that, there is also a deniability that we are practicing. We're not owning up the fact that the Americans have pulled up our ship 7 times, and that is after caution of 7 times that the ship has been blasted, the engine room has been blasted by them. The truth is that we've been flying it under some other flag. Indian sailors were there because there are sailors in one third of the navies all over the world. They are the ones who are go to in terms of the kind of accessibility and the competence that people have. But the truth is that we are totally out of sorts when it comes to holding us accountable. And the US, by and large, gets away with it. If you look at Indian government response, it is neither here nor there. It's really, uh, in a certain way, you can sense some kind of guilt in the way they conduct themselves. If they had been more forthright, they could have taken a stand and said that whatever. I mean, the fact of the matter, we conveyed that Indians were there, and you did not do anything at all. You bombed the bloody ship for all we care, and you did not even bother about it. So they could have been more tougher with them. You don't mess around with the Americans who are there in the ships of all kinds. You do it only with India, and Indians don't respond. You see the manner in which, the most servile manner in which we have agreed to the sanctions that have been imposed by us, by the US, on Russian oil. We agreed to every deadline which is given to us, that by the end of this month, no more oil coming from Russia. Or for that matter, we keep on looking at them so that we can get some oil out of them. That's not a way a sovereign nation can function. That's not the way that India can continue to behave or to conduct itself. It's a pity that
Absolutely.
we have been brought to a situation like this, and I don't know what will come out of it. Primarily because we have been brought to a situation where we are hostile towards Iran, which is a civilizational partner. I want to tell you one thing: the Iranian in their language never called Iran India a foreign nation. It is not a foreign nation in their language. It is something that they think that is part of them. And now we have, because we want to be cozy to US and Israel, are trying to antagonize everybody they are opposed to. So it's a very disturbing situation, but that is where it is.
My last question to you, Sanjay, is that after this incident, are we going to continue to say that Donald Trump is our very good friend? It is a close strategic partner. But at the same time, if there is an attack on our people, if there is an attack on our infrastructure, then we are going to stay silent and continue to bear whatever America is unleashing on us.
I think what is really happening is very disturbing, very shameless on the part of the government of India to continue to, repeat ad nauseum that India and US are very close to each other. They may be close, people to people, but when it comes to the government, we need to think harder about what was really happening. Because if US is going to bomb ships where they know Indians are staying, or if they're going to make people, manacled by all kinds of things when they are sent out from the US to India, we have to worry as to how they are behaving. And we need to have a government which stands up for its people rather than the government that stands up to its own interests. And their interest is something which is only limited to the business houses and nobody else. And that is where the rub lies. India has to stand up for its people, and whether they are going around as sailors or they're going around as workers in different parts of the world, they can't be manacled and sent back home on aircrafts and ships. And that is where what is happening. So if US is really a good friend, it has to look after our people, not its own interests. Thank you.
Right. All right, Sanjay, thank you so much for joining on the Federal. Thank you.